Hi, my name's Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I have a really fun card for you today, and one of the reasons I pulled this set out was because it's one of the ones I have this month for an online class. So the holiday catalog has started. It's also called the August to December mini catalog now, so that's why it started in August. So if you don't have a copy of this and you're in the US, let me know. I'd be happy to send you one. So there's 3 classes right now that you can do. One is the In the Pines class, and registration for this ends on August 15th. So that's why I'm going to use this today to make sure you see the set and fall in love with the set. It's fabulous. It's a great little bundle. So that's the first one, and this is the set I'm using today with the dies. And then I have, over the weekend, I did all 10 of the cards for my upcoming Try It class. So registration to get the class with the supplies, that's over, but I am still taking signups if you want the online PDF version only. So you get a PDF booklet of all of the templates, and all of the videos are private on YouTube, and they feature all of the 10 designer series papers. Well, there's actually 8 papers, and then 2 of the cards are done with the foil and the velvet and the glimmer papers. So there's 10 projects that you'll get, and that one, like I said, you can do the online version, so that's open to anybody in the world. You don't have to be in the US to do that one. When I do get all of the stuff and I get it cut up, sometimes I have an extra packet or 2 depending on how it goes. So if you're interested in getting the supplies with that, then let me know. The 3rd class that I have, signups are soon. I don't think that they end until September. I should have checked on my own website. But it's the autumn one. So I'm going to do that stamp set next, but I am using one of it today, so I would remember to tell you. So on today's card, we're going to go with some pretty basic colors here, just crumb cake and copper, and then this new black glimmer paper. And when you get it, you are going to love it. It is actually paper. It's not like the hard cardboard stuff that we've had in the past. I mean, from this side, you wouldn't even know that it's not cardstock. Yeah, it's so that the adhesives stick better to it. None of this falls off, like no glitter comes off when you do that, you can see. So it's a fabulous new product, and there's the black and the balmy blue, both in the catalog. The rainbow glimmer papers like that too, where it's more of a paper backing. So let's get going on this card. It doesn't take very long. So I have crumb cake, which is a nice basic color. I'm just going to do my card in this, and then I'm going to work on a false front, because I'm going to use the giant folder that matches this set, and I wanted to get all of it on, and it's easier, I think, to just use false fronts and not try to get your folded card in an embossing folder. It just saves you time. So if you saw my other video with In the Pines, here's a little secret. I have a lot of these plates, and I tend to leave them on. So this is exactly set up how it was last time. That way they're just ready to go. And so while I know that I'm going to be using a set, I just kind of leave them on the plates, and I just pop plates out and I have other ones. So this is on here like this, but for this card, I'm not going to use this tree. So I just want to make sure when I put my paper in here. And so this is a whole sheet of cardstock that we're going to work with, a whole sheet of crumb cake. I've got the false front, and then this piece here that I'm going to do my stamping on. And I am going to use my magnet, which I'm not a huge magnet person. So you just want to make sure that this is on here. And I'm going to give myself as much scrap paper left as I can. So you just see where it's going to hit. Those are all going to fall on it. Doesn't matter if it's straight or anything on this one, because we're just going to cut those out. So I'm going to use 2 colors. Like I said, I designed this thinking that it'd be a great masculine card. It could be for anybody, but it has masculine tones to it. So I'm going to use crumb cake, and I'm just going to ink up the trees. These are the solid trees. And then just stamp. When you do use the magnet, I find that you have to press a little harder, because it stops the plate. Not so much on the red rubber, but on the photopolymer, because they're a little bit smaller. So I have those, super easy. And then I've got my memento that I'm going to do the outlines for. Just ink these up. My plate's getting a little dirty because I'm using full stamp pads. I do have a crumb cake in a ink spot, but since I don't have a black in an ink spot, I decided I'd just go ahead and use this. And then just stamp these. And again, because of the magnet, just make sure you press on each one. The nice thing is if it doesn't catch, like this one right here needs a little bit more of a press, but because it's on the Stamparatus, you can just do it again. So there we go. Super easy for the trees, yeah? And then I'm gonna take this, just wash that off in a second. I'm gonna take the words, and these I got out of the Autumn Suite. I should have put that someplace because now everything in the world's going to stick to it. And it says, have a beautiful day. I really liked the font, and I thought it could be for a birthday, it could be for a retirement, it could be for a lot of things. And I'm just going to stamp it right here on this little piece of scrap. Isn't that a pretty font? Super, super, I just like the plain typewritten look of it. The sayings that come in the Pine set are thinking of you and season's greetings. So you could use the thinking of you if you don't have this set. I really just wanted to remind myself to tell you about the autumn class. So I pulled this out and it looked beautiful as well. It was sitting here ready to tell you the set. And then I'm just gonna slide this in here and trim that off. So now you haven't wasted any other paper. You just have this little thing that will be able, whoops, to put on. So let's cut these things out. And I have my new cutting boss. It's called a cut and emboss, but it's the boss. So I'm just gonna call it the cutting boss. It's needed a shorter name, I think. So I have a video on how to use it if you haven't seen that. And then if you do purchase your big shot, I'm gonna do that a million times, I'm sure. If you purchase your cut and boss from me, once they're available to customers in September, then you'll be able to I'll have a free online class for you. Teach you all about it. Not all of the plates will be available. So the nice thing is if you take the class or buy the thing from me and are in the class, then as more pieces come available, then I'll have some updated classes for you. So the thing I like best about this one is super easy to use, and these plates don't move. So they don't have to be lined up perfectly straight because this is the right size for it. You can hear how smooth that is. It's so much easier to roll through than the old machine. And I loved the old machine. It wasn't like I was waiting for a big replacement. I've just had it for a very long time. So now we have these cut out. And then I have the two trees that come in this that I'm using on this card look like this. And then this also I have a ton of cards that have this tree, but that's not going on here, but that one cuts out through the paper. So I'm gonna put some copper foil and then the black Glimmer paper. And this is in the holiday catalog, and it's on the page with the Halloween stuff, which is fabulous. And the card that we're making in my Try It class is not Halloween. I might do a Halloween version for them on the video, but don't miss that page. So I'm just gonna roll that through once. I'm gonna pull these out so I can just roll my thing over them because both of those papers are a little heavier. Then I'm gonna take these pieces out. One of the features of this is you can see there's numbers. So if you're one of those people and you don't use your machine often enough and you can't remember which sandwich you need, then these will tell you. So this one, I want to do a embossing folder, and here's the pretty trees. So you look on here, and I have taken my blend and I have just highlighted the instructions so I know what to read. So if I went in embossing folder, it says to emboss, insert embossing folder hinge first, and then I need one. This is one, and then this is a 3D embossing folder. So here's my paper, and then I need number 4. So here it has the sandwich for you. So here's the embossing folder. It's lovely. This is one of the best ones we've ever had. So just stick this in here, and it will do a giant sized piece of paper. And you know, this line right here tells us that it's in here straight. There we go. And hinge first. If you're I have always said that, I think, in almost all of my videos. But if your folders ever break, and you're sending them through the other way, that's why, because the pressure at the end when it pops is just a little bit too much for the hinges. So now we have that. And then the best thing about this, now that I'm done and I really need my table space, I just pop these back up, and then it is so much smaller on my table. Because normally at this point I would be moving my other one onto the floor. So now let's put this thing together. So we have this. I'm going to take my Crumb Cake stamp pad again, and I'm going to use my dauber. And the secret to this is to barely brush over the top of it. Like, you want it to pick up the raised stuff, all of the raised images, but you don't necessarily want it to get on the background. It will a little bit, but just kind of swirl it on there. So you kind of hold it up in the air and just let the sponge barely touch. And it helps to have a light, you can see I'm barely dabbing my pad on, my dauber on the ink pad. Because if you have too much ink, then it's easier to get. Then these big trees here, I did press a little harder. So they look like they're a little bit more in the foreground. They just come to life. So we're gonna do a card soon where we watercolor this. And this folder matches so many things, so many other sets that we have, because we have a lot of nature stuff, so it just makes a great nature background. It would be easier to do if I could put my hands more there. Let's go this way. I'm trying to let you see it. There you go. Just kind of get that off there. But it just kind of gives those trees some definition. I might put a little bit more on these front ones. Isn't that pretty? So now we just need to pop all of our things out. So I am going to take them while they're still in their die. Well, that one just came out, so not gonna do that one in its die. And just roll this over, because there's a lot of little pieces in it, but you can see none of the glitter's coming off. If you would do this with a lot of glitter papers, you would just have glitter everywhere and it would have all come off your design. Did I get them all? There's a couple more. It's really easier if it would have stayed in the thing, because you can press a little harder. I think that's all of them. Sometimes on the black ones, it's easier to tell if you put it on a piece of paper. They're out, they're just stuck in there. There we go. And then the copper one came out too. The machine cuts it so well, it's kind of hard to keep them in. For the foil papers, it is best to do them on the other side so you don't scratch the foil paper. So just roll those over so all those little bits in the middle come out. And there we go. Those are finished. I don't have my trash can laying right underneath, so I don't want to get those on the floor. So now we just need to mount this together. So I want this, I know, to go at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my seal and just put some adhesive on the edges. I'm wondering how many weeks exactly it will take before I can use the seal in the direction for you guys to video. I don't have any problem at all. And this is why I used this seal and not the Seal Plus, because I can move it. And I just put it here on the edges. This is a tad longer. You just, oops, flip that over and just cut that little piece off right there. But now I'll be able to slide things under there. So let's go with, start with your biggest ones first. And I'm just gonna kind of lay them where I think I might want them. And then that way I can decide. But you see, because I only put that on the edge, I can slide those under. A little more of the trunk to show in this one. So just move that over. And then we have this little guy here. So just decide where you want them. And then I'm gonna start from the back front. So I want this one to be in the back. So just kind of hold on to where those other things are. Put a piece of seal here. And then this one I want to be raised up, but you can see it's tiny. So I'm going to use, oh, there's a piece in there that didn't come out. I'm going to use the tiny little dimensionals. And there's enough space on here that you can put 2, which is enough to hold it to the card without it showing through. Let's do this one here. And then I'll go with this, my black glitter tree. And I'm just going to use seal on it because it just needs a tiny bit to hold it on there. It's a little crooked. There we go. And then let's get these guys. And I need to remember this is my hold card. A lot of times on a panel, I will make things go off the edge because I kind of like that. And then this one last little tree. I want it to go behind because I want to see all of the beautiful copper foil. So there we go. And then I have, this is also from the Autumn Suite. That's the other online class, and it's just the copper ribbon, and it looks really pretty with this. So I'm just gonna lay it like this. You need just enough so you can fold it over. Again, I was thinking masculine cards, so I didn't want a bow. If you're giving it to a girl, feel free to put a bow or add some glitter, shimmer crystal effects or something. Now I'm gonna flip this over. I'm just going to put my adhesive here. That way when I flip this back over, I can just hold it here and then fold that over. Because you want this ribbon to lay flat and to be straight. So this way, but the seal does let you move it after for a couple minutes. So there we go. Now when you put it on here, you want to make sure that right here, especially where that ribbon is, that it's going to hold that. So I'm just going to make sure I have enough adhesive there to grab that. And then this is the whole front. And again, the seal will let me move it if I get it on here crooked. Not the seal plush, just the seal. So super easy. I have black ink all over my hand. Not quite sure how I did that. But there you go. All those textures. Here's my other one. This is one of those ones that every time you make it, it's gonna look pretty much the same because there's not a whole lot of deviation on it. I like how I got this tree a little bit darker than this tree. So if you're interested in taking my classes, then just go to my website. And also on my website, you can join my email list. You can find out what my monthly thank you gifts are, all that kind of good stuff. So I will be back. When I do those 10, I made the 10 cards. Now I have to film the 10 cards. That takes a lot of time and a lot of my phone being used. So this week, my tutorials might drop down a little bit as I get the other class ready. But I'll be back with the autumn thing next.